stinging from last summer's Olympic upset, seek redemption against a formidable side and a familiar coach. Sweden against the USA next. In the Scandinavian sunshine, revenge required here for the US women's team as they face the country which knocked them out in last year's Olympic quarterfinals, Sweden, led by former US coach Pia Sundhage. This breaks a run of 28 home friendlies for the US. It's a tough away game in Europe. Jet lag could be a factor too. The action is coming up next. Splendidly appointed, lovely sunny evening. Sweden against the United States here in Sweden's second biggest city. Well, the United States played Sweden at the Olympics in the quarterfinals. It ended 1-1. The match went to penalty kicks. Sweden would prevail 4-3 in the shootout to shock the USA. Sweden went all the way to the gold medal match. Eventually they lost that 2-1 to Germany. So this is beautifully set up here. A bit of needle, a bit of revenge maybe in the air for the US team as they try to make good that defeat in this prestige game. Let's have a look at the US team today. Carly Lloyd, 3 short of 100 goals for the team now. Crystal Dunn has scored 4 goals in the last 2 matches. Another chance for the talented youngsters Rose Lavelle and Mallory Pugh out wide. With me is Julie Foudy, 2-time Olympic and world champion. What about this lineup then, Julie?
Same as against Russia in April. And pay attention to O'Hara getting forward a lot because Rose Lavelle is going to pinch in offensively into that number 10 spot. She comes from that central area, so there'll be a lot of action on that right side for the United States.
As for Sweden, they field 8 of the team, which knocked out the US at that Olympic match, including Lisa Dahlqvist, who scored the winning penalty. Kosovari Aslani, who plays with Carly Lloyd at Manchester City, wins her 100th cap here. The number 1 keeper, Hedvig Lindahl, has a broken finger, so Hilda Karlen deputizes. And
a very experienced lineup for Sweden, 4-4-2. Kjellin, many fans familiar with, all-time leading goal scorer for Sweden, and Rolfo co-led in the European qualifiers with 3 goals for Sweden. So that is their offensive firepower up front.
It's a tough game, all right. The officials are from the Czech Republic for this game, and I think the Swedes mean business. Let's take a look at our Continental Tire Analyst Corner with Julie.
And this is the issue that they discovered, of course, at the Olympics when Sweden was in such a compact, tight defense. These 2 things are going to be key. Can they break down Sweden? Because they're going to do a similar compact defense today, and especially on the dribble. Do they have the creative players to do that for the United States? And the midfield has to grab a hold of the game. Sweden likes to push everyone centrally, defensively, even start that way offensively. Can the U.S. dictate the pace from the midfield? It'll be a good test for the U.S. midfield tonight.
Just a little bit of a doubt about this US team this year. They took part in a prestige competition called the She Believes Cup earlier on in the year. They beat Germany okay in the first game, but then lost to England and were hammered 3-0 by France, and that sent 1 or 2 shockwaves around.
It certainly did, and they were playing, of course, in a different formation. They were playing with that 3-back, and they were experimenting with Ali Long as a center back. It didn't work well. They haven't gone back to the 3-back since then. And what it did is it gave a lot of people globally the confidence to say, hey, we can take on this United States team, because that was a thumping that France put on the U.S. in that game. And it also, honestly, I think inspired the U.S. team to say, okay, lesson learned, extract the lesson, and they're going to be very excited to move forward with these 2 games here in Europe.
As for Sweden, there's Lotta Kjellin, their famous striker, globally renowned in women's soccer. They are tuning up for the European Championships. Their first game is against the Olympic champions, team who beat them in the final last year, Germany, and then they play Russia and Italy. So they're trying to get themselves in shape for that important tournament. Surface looks beautiful to play on, and it's nice evening for playing as well, just about 61 degrees. There's been a bit of rain about, but not now. Becky Sauerbrunn with some defending to do straight away. She's played every single minute this calendar year for the team. So reliable back in defence. And here come the Swedes, who will fancy themselves a little bit, I think, playing at home here. Is jet lag a factor for the US players? Quite a lot of them played at the weekend in the States, and this is 6 time zones away.
I think actually, I mean, they've been there a week, a little bit less than a week actually, but I think the bigger issue is they just haven't had any time together. They haven't played since April, so I would say that's probably the bigger factor. And you can see early on, Sweden's tactic is going to be, let's test them right away from the back. Let's send some long balls in, go direct.
Linda Sembrant playing the ball across there. She was the only player to miss a penalty in that shootout in Brasilia at the Garrincha Stadium. Megan Klingenberg doing her job well there, the left back, one of the best left backs in the world.
And Megan Klingenberg's been out a bit because of some back issues. Said in the April matches against Russia, she said, it's the first time I felt good in about a year and a half. And it's so nice to feel good again.
Miss Pia Sundhage, who was famous during her time as the US coach for breaking into songs. I remember her singing on the pitch at in Harrison, New Jersey.
She did a lot of singing, Ian.
Good coach, though. Didn't quite win the World Cup, but Olympic gold in London. Lynn Dahlqvist playing that ball forward. Here's the experienced Caroline Sager. Rainbow numbers being worn by the US team, a US soccer initiative in partnership with the You Can Play project, dedicated to equality, respect for all athletes regardless of sexual orientation. The men's team have been doing the same as well. Of course, they've got a big game against Trinidad and Tobago, World Cup qualifier coming up. Here's Jonna Andersson. And Sauerbrunn will just let that run into touch. The Swedes' form has been a little bit patchy, hasn't it, this year?
They've struggled, haven't they, in 2017? Only 2 wins. 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 ties. Struggled at the Algarve Cup in March. Started at the beginning of the year with a loss to Norway. Lost to Canada. And really, the issue with Sweden has been a lack of finishing.
Here's Rolfo. He's dispossessed. It's quite a fast start by the Swedish side. Aslani looking to make progress, winning her 100th cap today. Originally from Kosovo. Plays for Manchester City, Carly Lloyd's mate in that team.
And this is going to be interesting today to watch for Sweden. They're so good on set pieces and so good in the air, especially with a smaller lineup for the United States.
Skog with the corner kick for Sweden. Dahlqvist plays it back in again. Bit of defending for the US to do early on here. They do have speed on the break, though, with Krista Dunn and Rose Lavelle, who's really shown up well since she came into the team. It's only her 5th cap tonight. She's already scored her first goal, and she looks like a big player for the US in the future.
And she's great on the dribble. I mean, that's the space they want to find her in. She plays that one into Dunn, but she also is willing to beat and penetrate lines on the dribble, which is what they're going to need against an organized defense like Sweden.
You know, the Swedes don't let many in, but they don't score too many either. A 1-1 draw it was in Brasilia, and a dramatic penalty shootout settled in the end by Dahlqvist. Skog looking to feed the ball through to Shalene, who just goes on and on wearing that number 8 shirt. It's the 179th cap for her tonight. That's extraordinary, really. 86 goals as well.
And always a consistent finisher, consistent with pace up front, which is why really Casey Short moved into that center back position with her speed on the ball right now. It's for the likes of Shalene because she's so pacey up front, getting in behind.
There's Casey Short again. You know, that recovery speed can be very, very handy if you're a defender. Sometimes it can make up for one or two other things. Always difficult changing position, mind you. O'Hara's ball into a good area. Nobody on the end of it.
Yeah, but there's a good look of how high Kelly O'Hara is going to get in this game. That's the right back for the United States. And that's when Rose is pinching in Lavelle into that central midfield position.
There's Carly Lloyd, the two-time and reigning World Player of the Year, and like you, now an author as well.
Fellow author.
That's the end of your plug for today. Here's Sembrant for Sweden, who've consistently been among the top teams in the world. Of course, the US, 3 times World Cup winners, 4 times Olympic champions. Usually a team to be feared, but by the same token also, and it makes it difficult in friendlies, team to be shot at. Shalene doing some good work there down the left-hand side. It's not really properly cleared.
And it's so interesting, with all the success the United States has had, they've been unable to beat Sweden, and especially the success they've had against Sweden in the last 37 games. They've only lost to them 6 times in 37 games, yet with Pia as their head coach now, they've been unable to break through in their last 4 games against them.
That's one of the great subplots. Of course, Jill Ellis was assistant to Pia Sundhage, so they can almost read each other's minds. It's a bit like the sorcerer and the sorcerer's apprentice, isn't it? And there's Crystal Dunn. 2 goals in both of the recent friendlies against Russia. Speedy type, who plays her football at Chelsea in southwest London, and she scored 9 goals in the last 11 friendly matches for the US. Here come the Swedes with Aslani. A lot of these players, of course, know that they have big assignments coming up. No way through that time for Shalene. Becky Sauerbrunn doing her job well back there.
It's good to see Sweden coming out and actually trying to get forward, playing. I mean, the last few times we've seen Sweden, this is what they discovered at the Olympics, is they open up the game and they lost 5-1 to Brazil at the Olympics in the group stage. And so they went into a very tight shell, which is not a ton of fun to watch.
But they've started quite ambitiously here.
Exactly. I thought they were going to start much more conservatively. It's good to see. And Pia had been in the Swedish paper saying, you know we can't open up the game. Maybe she was selling it a little bit.
Yeah, the old smoke screen, Julie.
Can't open up the game. We're going to play conservative, drop in like we did at the Olympics.
That's coming into the women's game as well now, as more and more countries join the party and the games get tougher and tougher. Sweden found that out this year. They lost to the Netherlands. There's no formalities really anymore. Well, fewer anyway, put it that way. Sauerbrunn. Ball was given away by Kelly O'Hara. Skug picking it up. Rolfo. It's quite a tough examination early on by the US.
And that's just an area Mewis can't lose the ball because O'Hara was already up on the right side attacking. They're not in their shape. Getting a little bit exposed when you give a ball away that easily there.
Carly Lloyd looking to close down the space, playing further forward these days. Of course, she used to be a left-sided central midfield player. doing a lot of the hard work and the hard running. Now playing almost alongside Crystal Dunn up there. She'll be 35 soon. Mind you, 61 of her 97 goals for the country have been since she was 30 years old.
Over doubled her scoring rate in her 30s. That's remarkable. I was just trying to hang on in my 30s.
All being given away a little bit. US a little shaky so far with their passing out of defence. Dahlqvist playing it for, wearing the number 7. Here she is, Lisa Dahlqvist. Got that winning penalty against the US in Brazil. Ali Long got the challenge in there, plays for Portland Thorns. Crowd expected to be around 8,000 to 10,000 for this game. It's filled up a good deal in the last 20 minutes before the kickoff. It's Casey Short bringing it out for the US. Bit of a mix of the old and the new in this US roster. 7 with over 70 caps, 11 with under 33. Here's the experienced Fisher bringing out of defence. Cut out by Sauerbrunn. Lavelle. Good closing down of the space there by the Swedes, who've made the better start in truth here. Aslani playing that ball wide, and then Samuelsson joining in. And maybe they can break here. One for Crystal Dunn to chase.
Some good pace at the back too. Fischer's been known to be a bit exposed, number 5 for Sweden, for her pace, but around her we've seen now twice Dunn trying to break free, and she can't separate, which you don't see very often.
No breakthrough yet. Coming up towards the quarter of an hour mark is Megan Klingenberg. ESPN's presentation of US soccer brought to you by apartments.com. Change your apartment, change your world. And eBay. Shop like nobody else because you aren't like anyone else. Fill your cart with color.
You can see right here, Mewis and Long, how deep they're coming. They're almost coming to that back line to get the ball, and it leaves this huge gaping hole in the midfield for the United States that Lavelle is trying to pinch into, but that's going to be one to watch this game, because with those two having the tendency to come back for the ball, they're going to have someone in that seam between Sweden's midfield and defensive line to actually play make out of.
Carly Lloyd, just a little too muscular, the challenge by Sager on her. Sager plays for the Lyon side, which was one of the very top teams in Europe. She did have a spell at Philadelphia Independence and Western New York Flash in the US.
Yeah, won the Champions League alongside Alex Morgan,
who is injured for this game, by the way, in case you were wondering, as is Tobin Heath. Lynn Williams as well, who travelled. She's got a bit of a knock as well. You know more about that.
Yeah, an ankle injury. It happened while she was there. So they're actually down to 18, which is all they could dress anyways, but they're down to 18 on that roster.
And how long's Alex Morgan out for?
I spoke to her this morning on text. She's back in Orlando getting it evaluated, and she said she hopes to be back by the end of June in a Pride jersey.
And Shalene rather overrunning the ball there.
Fans there eagerly anticipating her return.
Dunn doing well. Mallory Pugh lays it inside, and they've messed it up. It's a pity, because that was a promising situation for the US. Lavelle over there. This is a big test for her. 1 or 2 rave reviews, but it's a step up from playing Russia, this, isn't it?
It sure is. That's why this is such an important game, to see how they respond from that March She Believes Cup, because Russia, in all due respect, is not going to give them the test they need. This is the games you love as a player and as a coach.
She marked her first start, Rose Lavelle, with a goal against the Russians. Here's Dunn. Carly Lloyd was arriving. We might want to test this goalkeeper. It's not the number 1. Hedvig Lindahl has a broken finger, and so Hilda Carlin is in goal. It's only her 7th cap. Kelly O'Hara to take it. One of the players who did play for Pia Sundhage during her time. Long range over, they're claiming a handball there, the effort from Mewis.
Pugh making a nice little run in there, wanted to get that ball slipped in. I think Mewis heard you though, Darky, wanting to test the goalkeeper there.
She got hold of the shot all right, didn't she? It wasn't a bad effort.
And she can crack him from range.
Long ball forward. Here's Carly Lloyd. Assessing the movement.
They're just not connecting on that last pass, but that's the idea I think they're looking at with this game, is when we get the opportunities, Jill Ellis has said to them, when we get the opportunities to counter and find some space, she wanted them turning and running at that back line.
By the way, watch out on ESPN this summer, because the US have some glamour games coming up on the West Coast, playing Brazil, Australia and Japan at the end of July, beginning of August. Staying busy all right. A shot on the turn is tipped over the bars. Good effort that by Skog.
And good to test Nair early for Sweden. She hasn't had many touches. Gets a little space, says why not?
Olivia Skog. They probably shared a glass of wine, didn't they? Her and Jill Ellis. When Jill arrived in town, or maybe not. Maybe, maybe after the game.
No, I'm sure they have.
Skug takes it.
A few songs.
Yeah. Pia was always up for that guitar. It's all part of the scene around her US cap. Shalene back to Dahlqvist, who's looked good in that midfield. Hardly wasted a ball so far. Samuelson to get the cross in. He's away by Becky Sauerbrunn. Jonna Andersson. That's poor, really. Didn't really wrap her foot around that. She plays for Linköping, the team who currently lead the Swedish Women's League.
I'll tell you, I didn't expect this out of the first 20, though, for Sweden. To be dictating the game a bit. Given some of the results, given how they like to keep the game tight, it's good. They are at home. It's a friendly. You got to try things before the Euros.
ESPN is your home for another MLS special edition presented by Audi on Saturday, June the 17th at 1 Eastern. David Villa and New York City hosting Seattle Sounders from the Yankee Stadium. The match will also be streaming live on the ESPN app, if you prefer that way of watching the matches.
The U.S., it seems like there's a great amount of distance between the players and that front attacking six. Especially because Mewis and Long are coming back for the ball, so they just don't have a lot around the ball, a lot of numbers.
It's just not quite that chemistry, is there, between the front players at the moment. Mewis playing this one long. Mallory Pugh beaten to the ball by Samuelson, who's a pretty good right back. He plays for football in the Swedish league. O'Hara was robbed. Aslani to bring it away, and a good ball from her as well. Well read by Becky Sauerbrunn. I remember seeing the early stages of her career going all the way back to the 2011 World Cup in Germany, and she always looked like a player who would have a long future in the team, and that is exactly how it's proved. Anderson down the line. And that's Caroline Sager who's down injured, isn't it?
I think it was it Sager? It was. I thought it was Dockvist at first. It's Sager.
Round the corner by Aslani. Aslani's another player who played in the United States for Chicago Red Stars 7 years ago. Shalene lays it back to Samuelson. Here's Fischer. He plays in Europe for Wolfsburg in Germany.
Looks like Sager's about to come back in as well.
The US just needing a little more cohesion and perhaps a bit more composure on the ball with the passing. Now there's Sager back in action again. Cap number 169 for her over the last 12 years.
Yeah, there's some experience on this roster.
Here's Dunn. Cut back, and just cut back enough really by Lavelle. Bound to be nerves for somebody like Rose Lavelle and 19-year-old Mallory Pugh on the other side in a biggish game like this against one of the world's best.
And for Rose Lavelle, it's only her fifth cap, fifth international.
Yeah.
I think that's probably been the most impressive thing about them, though, when these, especially those two, when they have come in, and they've come in flying with confidence, and one of the best players on the team. I mean, Mallory Pugh at 18 when she first came in last year. Looks great on the ball.
How nervous did you get playing in all those big games?
I think for the first 10 years I was on the team, I was like, do I belong here?
You're still nervous watching it.
It took a while. That's why I love it when they come in and they're flying. I'm like, right on.
Laid off by Shalene to Aslani. She's so much the talismanic figure of the squad, Lotta Shalene. It's just given away rather carelessly by the Swedes. It's been a feature of the game, really, so far. Dunnett made a good diagonal movement, wasn't quite picked up by Mewis. Here's Long on the ball now. Has a habit of scoring with headers. Got a couple against the Russians. In fact, I think all her goals so far for the US have been headers. It's a little bit better. Lavelle and Pugh arriving from the left-hand side.
A little better because they get some numbers forward as well. Some help, a little more patience. Nice idea to try to just get a little touch in there.
Mallory Pugh, in fact, is playing her first US game as a professional soccer player, having joined Washington Spirit.
And glad to say a professional soccer player in the United States, because we almost lost her over to France.
She's obviously a talented operator. This will be a learning experience today. Long to play forward. One of the players who's arrived on the scene really since Pia Sundhage was in charge. Remember Shannon Box doing a great job in that midfield all those years.
Lauren Holiday.
Yeah.
Some big shoes to fill.
Heather O'Reilly on the right.
Yeah.
But of course time moves on and the team is forever evolving. You hope this team evolves just nicely for the 2019 World Cup and of course the next Olympic Games in Tokyo 2020.
There's of course Morgan Bryan as well, who's out with the injury again. She hurt her knee, thought she was coming back. Actually saw her play out in Chicago with the dash. She said felt like it was getting better. She was getting back to game fitness, but having a little bit of a hamstring issue as she gets back that game fitness.
That's a vital area too, that engine room part, the two central midfield players. You need players in there who can really affect the game, take charge of things. It's not easy. Sometimes you need wing mirrors playing in there. Ball's given away. Dahlqvist picked it up for Sweden. Fischer doing the covering. Dahlqvist again. Schelin is waiting in the middle. It's Samuelsson's ball in.
Samuelsson doing a nice job on both sides of the ball. Number 15 for Sweden, getting forward with that overlapping run. Just played a little bit too wide for her to then beat Short, because Short's got so much speed, she's going to recover on that one.
Very good fitness levels. There's Jessica Samuelsson on that side. Good in defence, good joining the attack. Skugg with the corner kick in, bouncing around a bit dangerously. Dahlqvist's effort easily charged down. Well played by Lavelle. But the US again giving the ball away rather carelessly. Maybe Carly Lloyd can impose some order. They know about the threat she poses still. Did you notice that? There were 3 yellow shirts around her the moment she got that ball. Good pressing by the Swedes. They got it back too. Here is Schelin. Because these players play each other so often that they know each other quite well, don't they?
And a lot of them played, of course, the United States players played in Sweden before. So definitely very familiar with each other. This is the 4th corner kick for Sweden, and this was an area Jill Ellis was worried about with set pieces and corner kicks.
Well defended. Skugg. Well, you can see what the idea was. The turn was very good. The execution of the shot, not quite so much. Alicia Nair is the goalkeeper. Has Hope Solo completely retired? What's happening with that?
She has not announced a retirement. She had shoulder surgery in September. She was, of course, suspended until the end of February. I've not spoken to Hope Solo, but I'm hearing that that she does still want to play. We'll see.
Yep. One to keep your eye on in the future. Not for the moment, I don't think. Skugg, who's looked quite lively so far. Schelin was looking for half a yard to get away the shot. Dahlqvist, good effort. Gotta say, the Swedes have been the better side first half an hour.
Yeah, good first 30 for Sweden. They've been controlling the ball, getting numbers defensively. Sager there with a shot on target.
Oh, it nearly breaks here for the US. Crystal Dunn Slipped by Lavelle. The attack's still alive. Mallory Pugh. Klingenberg. Pugh again. Now Mewis. Better little spell here for the US. They needed it. And easily cut out Kelly O'Hara. Moving inside. By the way, good game next Tuesday on ESPN2. France against England. That match will be streaming live on the ESPN app as well. 2:55 Eastern for that one. And England, by the way, through to the final, the World Cup final of the under-20s. First time England have been in any World Cup final since 1966. So that's being celebrated a little in my home country just at the moment.
There's a parade for it, I bet.
Not quite yet, no.
Just to get in there.
Some good young players in that team, though. Bristol Dunn doing well. Is Megan Klingenberg to overcome some injuries herself. She missed the She Believes Cup earlier on in the year. Pugh inside. And the curled effort. At least the US are starting to get one or two shots away now.
Starting to get a little bit of rhythm. I still think there's a huge gap in that midfield space. And there's Mewis finally stepping in, but too much space. It's so much space between Long and Mewis and Carly and Crystal Dunn up front. I think that's going to be something they address at halftime, because Rose Lavelle's trying to pinch into that high position, but she's coming in late. It's a lot of ground to cover too when you have to then bounce back out wide.
The passing's just got a little sharper in the last 5 minutes. Mewis. Well, it wasn't quite right, but you could see what the idea was there. Just too much on that, really, for Carly Lloyd to have any hope of getting on the end of it. Carly Lloyd needs 3 more goals to make it 100 in a US shirt. Here she is. Very, very strong. Done. Well, the goalkeeper for a moment lost her footing there, and you wondered what was going to happen.
Took a little deflection too, which I think it sent her off, so at least it looked like it did. Yep.
Yeah. Good spot, Julie. Just a little change, though, in the dynamic of the game over the last 5 minutes. Sweden certainly had the best of the first half an hour, but the US just coming on a little stronger. Mewis to take it. Seems to be in charge of most of the set pieces. Sweden can break here if they're quick. There are a lot of red shirts committed forward. Here's Shalene. Skug to Aslani. Samuelson comes down with ice on it, that one, but the goalkeeper's done well.
Good little test for Nair. She held that one well. Those are tough, especially when they're that high.
She's won 13 caps, Julie, so far. She's only let in 4 goals, and 3 of them in one game against France. Yeah.
And you know, that's when they were playing in that 3-back position, which she hasn't played under, to be fair. And I thought that when you play in that 3-back, you have to come out and be more aggressive off your line, of course, because those balls are going to be coming through. And I think if she had her positioning a little bit right, she wouldn't have let in those 3. But that's an easy fix, because I think 2 of those goals she could have probably picked up with her hands.
It's all a learning experience, isn't it? Plays for Chicago Red Stars.
And Jill Ellis has said, look, that game was not our best game, clearly, but we need to see how we play in those different situations. I think it's asking too much to put Ali Long, who's mostly a midfielder, to play center back in a 3-back. But she said, I'm not going to lose the idea of a 3-back. It just maybe meant we had the personnel wrong.
Here's Becky Sauerbrunn. Lavelle won't be able to get to that one. You think Rose Lavelle will be a number 10 eventually, don't you?
I like her tucked in centrally because I think she's good on the ball. She's good on the dribble. She's good at playmaking.
Rolfo won't be able to get to that one.
And I think she's the creative player when you're playing in tight spaces that can break down those defenses. This game isn't as tight as we thought it would be, but I like that she can pull the strings from there.
It's possible that Jill Ellis thinks it may be a bit early in her career to give her that bigger role. Aslani down the right-hand side. Short got it away. Dahlqvist here. Nearly fell nicely for her. There's still maybe something for the Swedes. Losing finalists at the Olympic Games, as Julie was telling you, a remarkable passage, really. They lost 5-1 to Brazil on the way to getting to the final, and of course the penalty shootout win over the US in the quarterfinal. Good ball, that. O'Hara lays it inside. Couldn't find Lavelle, really.
And you have to give Sweden some credit, too, for their ability to just disrupt the rhythm. They get numbers on the ball so quickly, and they're going to be organized. You know that with Pia Sundhage.
Here come the US. O'Hara lays it inside, and Carly Lloyd wasn't able to just burst through. What would the US do without Carly Lloyd? He's been such an integral figure now for so long in the team. Hat-trick inside the first 16 minutes, wasn't it, in the World Cup final?
Yes.
Against Japan. Really made her name around
and
the
a
world.
Beautiful hat-trick at that.
Yeah. It's one of those things you're never, ever going to forget that as long as you live. A wonderful thing for the United States team as well.
And that's the thing that I think has always set Carly Lloyd apart.
There's Shalene, who enjoys similar status with the Swedes. Well watched by Casey Short.
With Carly, the bigger the moment and the bigger the stage, the bigger she just wants it. Give me the ball. She wants to take over those games. It's that mentality that has served her so well, and she does. She's scored in so many big games, in the biggest of moments, and that one in 2015 just topped them all.
Date for your diary, by the way, July the 17th, 3:30 Eastern, the NWSL Game of the Week on Lifetime. Chicago Red Stars hosting Mallory Pugh and the Washington Spirit from Toyota Park in Bridgeview, Illinois. July the 17th for that one. Pugh, now Lavelle, two youngsters combining. Crystal Dunn trying to get there, well played by the goalkeeper Carlen. Out quickly off the line to grab that.
She's done well.
Yep.
I mean, and that's the last missing piece of the puzzle. Now they're getting in that seam a little better, finding that little final pass. Just a little too much pace on it. Carlin's been eating up a lot of those.
Samuelson to Aslani and Sager. So much experience, those players. And of course, just as I say that, Aslani gives the ball away. Shalene with the turn, and then Sager. Crowd like that, but again, they just don't have that clinical thing in a finish.
And this is Rolfo, who's known to be able to back to pressure, handle it well. 3 goals and co-led the team with Aslani in the European qualifiers.
Rolfo plays, by the way, for the Bayern Munich women's team. Lavelle taking on Anderson down that side. It was a good turn. Quite pick out the pass that she was looking for. Sager was able to pick it up, and away come Sweden again. A bit of ebb and flow to the game at this stage. What's been lacking for both teams really is the final ball, the crucial final ball that can open up a team. Shalene, that's out of harm's way unceremoniously in the end by Casey Short. Can't blame her. She played in Sweden, Casey Short, for Tereso. Shalene with Rolfo ahead of her. Aslani was played behind Rolfo, who'd made a run to the near post. Again, same thing, wasn't it, Julie? Last ball.
Yeah, and it seems like the U.S. is missing a little bit of a bite on defense. Sweden finding those seams and having time on the ball, which is unusual for the U.S. The game clearly more open than they thought.
Lloyd. You see the thing why Carly Lloyd has that top world class. She makes good decisions with the ball more often than most. Still very much the brains of the team. Mewis. Klingenberg plays it wide. 1-2 with Pugh. This is good by the US. Megan Klingenberg. Oh, and Carly Lloyd arriving, and that was the best yet from the US. No question about it.
Great sequence and great patience. Klingenberg hasn't been getting as much forward this game because O'Hara has been doing much of that work from the other side. What a nice ball in to Lloyd. That would have been something if she connected on the end of that one, reaching for it, but a good sequence by the U.S.
Yeah, that would have been a picture book goal. There it is, 97 goals in 238 games. Carly Lloyd. Goodness knows how many caps she's going to end up with. All the ball's been given away in the middle of the pitch there by Long. Could be quite costly as well. Sager, oh, bit of a mix-up. And in the end, it was the same player who'd given the ball away, Long, who got back just about to clear that in the shadow of the posts. And the US are having a mad minute here. Escapes at both ends. Crystal Dunn now this time. Got the pace to get the wrong side. The goalkeeper with her feet. In the end, it was an unconventional save.
Carlin with a good save, though. I like that Dunn faced up, went at her, but Ali Long realizing immediately, and you'd love to see that in players when she laid that ball back, that she was going to get back when she gave it away.
So no goals, but very nearly one. Alex Morgan not playing here, but we'll sit down with her at half-time to reflect on her experiences playing in Europe. And the FC crew will look at tonight's big Men's World Cup qualifier against Trinidad and Tobago. That's during the half-time interval for you. Last minute of the half here now. Fair to say the US have improved a bit as the half's gone on.
For sure, in the last 10 minutes. And I think that's the thing they're going to talk about in the locker room is how do we get some more numbers forward? How do we make this game a little bit more compact, especially in the midfield, getting a hold of it? Because if you can have Rose Lavelle and Mallory Pugh and Carly and Crystal, as you see here on the ball, that's good news for the U.S.
O'Hara. Samuelsson got it away for Sweden. It was a good attack again from the US. No goals in that first half. There might very easily have been in the last 5 minutes of the half. Chances at both ends. All to play for here then in Gothenburg. It's 0-0 at the break. Analysis coming up.